Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be talking about the BACP's ethical framework, but in a very simplified manner because it is a 27-page document and that is really long. So I'm going to simplify it for you. Now, if you're not sure who the BACP are, I have a video on that, which you can watch after this video and will be linked in the description box below. So this ethical framework essentially sets out expected ethical principles, values, and good practice standards for BACP members to abide by when they work with clients. And it's also used as a point of reference in professional conduct hearings. So let's get into it. So when you first open the document, one of the first few pages has all the main key terms that you need to know, and they're all defined so that you clearly understand what certain words mean because they're going to be frequently used throughout the document. So the first official part of the document is called Our Commitment to Clients as Practitioners. There are 6 main commitments and they are bullet pointed and explained, but I won't be going through each single bullet point just because it will make the video too long. But I'm just going to summarize what those 6 points are. The first one is putting clients first, which is kind of self-explanatory, of which most of the points are quite self-explanatory. But for the ones that are not, of course, you should go and read the handbook by yourself. Working to professional standards is the second one. Showing respect, building an appropriate relationship with clients, maintaining integrity, and demonstrating accountability and candor. So those are the 6 commitments that every single member of the BACP should abide by when they're working with clients. And that's also what clients can expect from you as somebody who is working as a therapist. The next section of the document is called Ethics, and this is split into 3 separate parts: values, principles, and personal moral qualities. So beginning with the values, there are 11 of them that are listed in the document, which are respecting human rights and dignity, alleviating symptoms of personal suffering and distress, improving the quality of relationships between people, increasing personal resilience and effectiveness, facilitating a sense of self that is meaningful to the person or persons concerned within their personal and cultural context, appreciating the variety of human experience and culture, protecting the safety of clients, ensuring the integrity of practitioner-client relationships, enhancing the quality of professional knowledge and its application, striving for the fair and adequate provision of services. So those are the 11 values that therapists and practitioners are expected to use in their work with clients and to uphold. So next up we have the principles. Luckily there's only 6 of them in comparison to the 11 values. So the 6 principles that are expected of the BACP members to have are being trustworthy, autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, justice, and self-respect. And then lastly, we have the personal moral qualities, which you're expected to have within you as a practitioner: candor, care, diligence, empathy, fairness, humility, identity, integrity, resilience, respect, sincerity, and wisdom. So as a practitioner, even if you don't have all these personal moral qualities, you are encouraged to at least work on them and to develop them so that you can be the best practitioner possible for your clients. Now, onto the next section of this long ethical framework is the good practice part, which takes up majority of the document. So it looks at some of the stuff I've already mentioned, but in detail, and provides ways to ensure that you're able to uphold those things and actually apply them within your work as a practitioner. So it looks behind the Our Commitment to Clients section and the Ethics section in order to consider their implications for good practice. And it sets out what can be expected of all members and registrants of the BACP. So the first section of this is called Putting Clients First, which you probably might remember I mentioned before in one of the other sections. So this section talks about, of course, ensuring that our clients come first and foremost in the work that we're doing. And when we're in sessions with them, our focus and our attention is completely on them, and that we're able to manage conflicts of interest should it arise. It also talks about dealing with confidentiality and having to break confidentiality and protecting our clients from harm and building trust. The next section is working to professional standards, which talks about ensuring that practitioners stay up to date about the latest things within their profession, keeping accurate records, being insured, and essentially fulfilling everything that is written within the ethical framework. The next section is respect. And this talks about respecting literally everything about your clients, from privacy, dignity, and sexuality to accessibility, gender identity, and culture. And it also encourages practitioners to be open-minded, to be aware of prejudice, and to avoid discrimination, as well as challenging other professionals who may be exhibiting those behaviors when they're not meant to. And then it also talks a little bit about considering what it might be like to work with children and young people and vulnerable adults as well, and their ability to give consent. The next part of this is called Building an Appropriate Relationship. This talks about contracting and record keeping, as well as as conducting progress reviews and boundaries during and after therapy with your client. The next part is breaks and endings, and it talks about how to handle endings, breaks, and death. The next part is integrity, which talks about being honest and how to handle complaints should clients have any. The next part is accountability and candor, which talks about being responsible for the client work, any harm that might be caused, and monitoring your client work through the use of supervision. The next part is confidentiality, which talks about protecting clients' privacy, of course, and everything else surrounding confidentiality, which I won't go into detail about because it's quite self-explanatory. The next part is working with colleagues, and this section talks about mutual respect, being fair, and just being professional with your colleagues. The next part is supervision, which talks about the responsibilities and expectations of a supervisor, the supervisee, and the standards of supervision which are expected to be taken on. The next part is training and education, which talks about trainees, assessments, and the selection of trainees, how that process works, and what's expected of educators within the field. The next part is trainees, which talks about what's expected of trainees in regards to their work with clients, in regards to their experience with their colleagues, and as well as their experience with themselves. The next part is about research. So this is not just professional research, but this also talks about research that you might do while you're a student, while you're studying, if you're doing master's or PhD level. The next part is care of self as a practitioner, which is basically talking about self-care and the importance of self-care and how to ensure that you're taking part in self-care. And the last bit, is responding to ethical dilemmas, which is pretty self-explanatory. So in this section, they just talk about how to respond to certain ethical scenarios and using supervision and things like that. So this sums up the BACP's ethical framework in short, and I hope it made a lot of sense. So of course, I will have it linked in the description box below, but you can literally find it anywhere on Google. If you just search BACP's ethical framework, it will come up on the first page. So whether you're planning to become a counsellor or you're already in your training, just make sure you read through it, take the time to understand it and to really get hold of it, because when you're writing assignments, especially at degree and master's and PhD level, you will probably end up referencing it a lot. So it's good to kind of know it off the top of your head so you can take out parts and just be able to cite it and reference it when you're doing assignments. So until the next video, enjoy the rest of your day or have a good night, depending on where you are. Bye.